This is without a doubt one of the greatest California Chardonnays I've ever had. Today we're doing the Jota W.S. Keys Chardonnay from Howell Mountain. It's not every day you hear about a Chardonnay coming from Howell Mountain, and it's certainly not every day that you hear about 100-point winemaker Chris Carpenter doing the making. But today, we've got both. The 2017 W.S. Keys Chardonnay from Jota represents the inaugural vintage from this single vineyard on Howell Mountain at 1,825 feet of elevation. Chris Carpenter, whose name you might recognize from wines like Cardinal, Lokoya, and Mount Brave, is at the helm making the Chardonnay for the very first time. Despite all of the wines he's made in his 2-decade-long career, Chris Carpenter has never made a Chardonnay. Woo! Green tart apple, lemon, a little bit of apricot, laser focus acidity. This is without a doubt one of the greatest California Chardonnays I've ever had. All right, you guys, this was just way too good to end at 60 seconds. I have to tell you, this blew me away. What the hell? When I heard that Jota was doing a Chardonnay, a single vineyard Chardonnay from their Howell Mountain site, I was excited. I didn't really know what to expect. And I'd also heard that it was Chris Carpenter's first time making a Chardonnay. So I don't know, is that a good thing or is it a bad thing? But I was excited to try it. So all I can tell you is that this wine did not disappoint. It's not inexpensive. It's $100 for a bottle, but this drinks like a Grand Cru Chablis. So what do I mean by that? Well, Chablis is a region in Burgundy, which is incredibly cold. It's actually very, very close to Champagne. And the Chardonnays that come from Chablis tend to be a little bit higher in acidity, laser-like focus, a little bit of creaminess, a little bit of roundness, but they're kind of a category unto its own. So when I read the winemaker's notes that said that he was going after a Chablisian style, you kind of have to meet that with a little bit of skepticism because we're talking about the greatest Chardonnays in the world. That said, this can run with the big boys. This is incredible. So a little bit deeper on the tasting notes because I'm sure some of you are sitting here wondering, okay, so why is it so good? Well, for one, when you think about California Chardonnays, you're gonna think of ripeness because it's hotter here. We've got tons of sunshine and the grapes just get a little bit riper, so it's hard to emulate a style like that of Chablis, which is a little bit cooler. That said, you're dealing with a single vineyard site from one of Napa Valley's most prized vineyards, Jota. While you're getting all of that minerality and the lemon zest and a little bit of lemon curd, you're also getting a tiny, tiny bit of apricot and stone fruit, which is the difference between something like a Chablis and that of California. It's something I actually really love about California Chardonnay because you get this element of California kissed fruit, that sunshine feel in your glass. Just smelling this wine makes my gleekers go. Holy cannoli, Batman. That is a mouthful. Incredibly high acidity, richness, minerality, and precision and focus. You have everything from the nose going onto the palate. You've got wet stone and flintiness, minerality, apricot, green apples. What I also love is that this Chardonnay was clearly harvested perfectly on time and not a moment after or moment before. The grapes, you can tell, were perfectly developed. You get a very, very complete palate. And what I mean by that is sometimes when you harvest grapes a little bit too early, you get really nice high acid, but you kind of lack that phenolic development in the center there. So you get what I call a donut wine. So you've got a hole in the center, a lot on the outside, and it kind of makes for an incomplete experience. But this wine, you can tell, was perfectly harvested right on schedule. So you get a gorgeous, gorgeous mid palate with lots of layers of fruit, a little bit of dried apricot, a little bit of those peaches, that stone fruit I was talking about, but all of the acid that goes around it. And as far as that mineral thing that I'm talking about, I know it's kind of geeky, but you have to think about wet stones, or maybe you can hear it outside, but it's raining right now, right? So you know that smell, that sort of like minerally smell, that fresh earth or the fresh rocks? Maybe if you've walked by a creek or by a lake that's got a little bit of rock or something around it, there's a smell that's a little bit salty and a little bit minerally, and that's sort of what you're getting on the palate here. Now, acid can be a scary word for a lot of people, but it's also something that adds balance and layers and nuance to a wine. So you want acidity there to give it that laser-like precision, but you don't want it to be the entire package. You've got the acidity to come in there. It hits kind of like a percussion instrument right off the get-go, but then you've got this symphony of other instruments that come in there to support it. You can hear the drums going all the way through, all that percussion moving, but you've got this gentle violin over top, you've got a little bit of trumpet, you've got a beautiful jazz band playing in your mouth, and that's what a great wine is to me, is something just so explosive and orchestral and gorgeous, and that's what this wine has in spades in the glass. As far as oak, because I'm sure some of you out there are fans of oaky Chardonnay or fans of the opposite, unoaked Chardonnay, this wine kind of sits right in the middle. You can tell there's a little bit of oak there to support it, but you're not getting any of the flavors that you would get from New French oak, i.e. vanilla, baking spices, a toastiness, or even some of that creaminess that you can sometimes get from New French oak. There's a clear backbone here to add support, but you're not getting any of the perceptible flavors, and I think that's a really, really beautiful thing for this wine because it allows the fruit to just showcase itself in a way that's very clean and pure and precise. This is a very, very delicious wine that I want to share with people, wine that I want to have an experience with. So things that I would eat with this wine, oh man, I'd love to go inside and make myself a nice big bowl of pasta with olive oil and butter, a little bit of tomato, but this would also be delicious with fresh oysters or fresh seafood, maybe even like a shrimp scampi. Any sort of white fish or shellfish is going to be absolutely spectacular with this wine. It's going to love the sweetness of the shellfish. It's going to love the minerality. It's going to love all the saltiness, but it's got really nice acid. So throw some fat in your dishes, grab some butter, grab some olive oil, grab all the things that make your dishes really, really lush and throw this wine at it because it's got lots of acid that's going to cut right through it. And even if you don't want a full meal, even if you're sitting there and you're like, I just want to drink this wine, here's what I recommend. Grab yourself a piece of bread, a nice big hunk of butter, sprinkle a little sea salt on it, and have it with this wine. I'm telling you, even at its simplest, it's going to be a perfect pairing. This is such an exciting wine for me. I don't know if you can tell my enthusiasm from watching this video, but a Chardonnay like this coming from California is a truly, truly special thing. We excel, obviously, here in Napa Valley at Cabernet, but Chardonnays like this don't come around a lot, and it's really special when they do. So hats off to Chris Carpenter, hats off to Lokoya, hats off to the team there for making a wine like this that's incredibly special. You can find this wine on their website, and like I said, it's $100 a bottle. There's not a lot to go around, so it's not going to be around forever, but a wine that is well worth getting if you are a fan of Chablis-like wines or Chablis in general, Howell Mountain wines, and you've never had a white wine from Howell Mountain because there's so few out there. It's an incredibly rare site to get a Chardonnay from, or just a wine fan in general and want to try something new and very, very exciting. I am personally very excited about this wine. And in fact, I think I'm going to leave you with that. I hope you enjoy this video, and I hope you enjoy the fact that that 60-second cutoff was not nearly enough, and we needed to go a little bit longer. All right, I'll see y'all later. Bye.